system.
Right.
Because what can happen as a servant, what can happen in leadership is we can collect everybody else's stuff.
Yes.
That's what causes the
Yep.
weight gain, causes the mental stressors, it
Yeah.
causes the just all of that stuff. And so, we got to have time to get that out. So while I was gone, I didn't do anything musical. I didn't think about them. I didn't do anything in ministry.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't turn my calling off. I just wasn't doing any of the administrative things that I would normally
Right. I
do.
love.
And so, as a result, what I found out was music is still a lot of fun. What I found out was I just need to move in this space a little different.
Welcome to the Burned Out Preacher podcast, where we have frank discussions weekly on ministry struggles and how many of us in the ministry have gone from overwhelmed and exhausted to calm and equipped leaders who love being in ministry. I am your host, Monique Addison-Stinson, burnout prevention coach for ministry leaders. Are you ready to overcome burnout? If your answer is yes, then keep listening. All right, so welcome back to the Burned Out Preacher podcast. I am your host, Monique Addison-Stinson, burnout prevention coach, and we're going to continue our series. It's time. It is time to talk about ministry burnout. I have another amazing guest. I know I say that every week, but I do. I've been blessed to have some amazing, amazing guests on the podcast. So we have another one today, and I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Riley Baxter III. I am the pastor of Living Water Temple Church, Nashville and Tri-City. I am a musician. I am a certified mental health coach, and I do my best to be a nice guy as often as I can.
That's most important. I love that. You seem like a nice guy. You really do.
Do the best we can.
Now, you said you're a mental health coach. Now, that I didn't know.
Yes, I received my certification. I really want to say it was in November of 20. It was something that my cousin, she's a mental health professional, and my sister, who has her master's in, I believe it's life coaching. I think that's what that is. There was something that they introduced to me, and so we just kind of grabbed a hold to that, and we've been doing it ever since.
That's awesome. Now, do you work with who do you work with? Do you work with ministry leaders or just kind of anybody who's needing help?
Anyone who is in need, because once we get past or underneath the titles and the status and all of that stuff, we're all just people. So whoever's in need, that's who we
Exactly.
are.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. So tell me, I like to start out with what does ministry burnout mean to you?
It's a fantastic question. Ministry burnout, it means that something has been burning too hot for too long. Something has been unmanaged. Something has been unchecked. And so one of two things has taken progress. Something has burned up or something has lost its fire. Either way, it's a bad situation.
Yeah, I love that definition. That is so true. And that's exactly what happens because you get to burn out because you didn't manage your stressors.
Right.
And now
Absolutely.
they've, as you mentioned, they've kind of burned up. So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, absolutely. Now, have you dealt with ministry burnout?
Oh, absolutely. It's been a long time, but early on, so I'm a servant by nature.
Yeah, me too.
So yeses can be easier than nos
Yeah, yeah.
because one, I have the capacity to do some things, and two, I'm a servant at heart.
Right.
So there was a couple of times where I was working with. I spent a lot of years as minister of music for a few
Mm-hmm.
different reasons, and so there was a couple of times where things weren't fun. People were getting on my nerves. Just the idea of what I do that I love so much. It's work. It's hard. It's a
Yeah.
burden. Yeah. So there was some instances, and so I just unplugged for a while.
Right.
It
Right.
was instinctive to just unplug before it got worse. So
Yeah.
that's how I dealt
Yeah, I love that. So when you unplug, I went through that too. I was Ministry of Music, over the Ministry of Music for years in my church as well. And that was I think I was in my late 20s. So many years ago.
with it.
And I've said this before on the podcast. Church members who are just, I hate to call them pew fillers, but that's kind of what they are. They just come to
Yeah,
church on Sunday and they go home,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
They don't understand all of the work involved
Right.
to put on church. I mean, they just don't
Hmm.
get it.
Right.
They just don't get it. And it's
Hmm.
a lot of hard work. And I kind of did the same thing. I unplugged. I actually stopped going to our church for a minute. I
Hmm.
started by going to another church at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Um, and I loved that, helped me out quite a bit for several years. I went to this other church and I was able to be present and enjoy the service and actually be fully engaged in worship.
Hmm.
Because at my church I was working. So I couldn't
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
I could really enjoy worship service like I wanted to, like everybody else was. So
Hmm.
what did that look like for you?
I took I took a couple weeks off.
Yeah.
I talked to the pastor, and typically I would ask, or I would try to adjust to some other people's schedules. But in this case, I just told him, look, these 2 weeks, I'm gone. Matter of fact, it was only 2 Sundays, but it was actually 3 weeks because I started like after that Monday was
Gotcha.
when I started. And I think it was one of those months where we had like 5 weeks or something. I just told him, look, gotta be gone. Just
Yeah.
can't because I'm not me right now. I'm not able to give you quality right now. I can't give the congregation nor the music ministry what it needs because I'm empty. So I just got to get away from it. I'm not playing nothing. I'm not singing nothing. I ain't writing nothing. I'm just out of here. Yes, that was the way I did it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. And I have had the hardest time trying to convince pastors to take some time off. I had one pastor, I was telling him that, I really encourage pastors to take time off during, like every single day, take at least an hour,
Mhm.
just an hour.
Mhm.
And and he thought I was crazy. He's like, I haven't done that in years. Like, I don't even know
Mhm.
how to do.
Mhm.
And if you think about it, it's pretty bad if you can't pull away from anything for 1 hour in a day.
True.
That's insane. And that really starts the ball of burnout running and rolling if you can't take some time out during the day. And then let alone every month. Some of
Right.
these pastors are working and ministry leaders, because I was a ministry leader, I wasn't a pastor. I mean, I apologize, it's a garbage truck going by if you hear
No
that
problem.
noise.
No
But
problem.
I literally had a full-time job that was demanding, and the church job was demanding. And I literally was at church 6 days a week.
Wow.
6 days a week. I went from my full-time challenging job immediately to a church meeting or rehearsal or something. And there was always something going on. Um, did the plugging or unplugging work? How often did you have to do that? Kind of talk me through that so we can try to convince some ministry leaders to unplug.
Sure. First of all, it worked, and it was kind of forced based on the way I was feeling. And so had
Right.
I had managed that differently, would have, it wouldn't have needed to be so drastic.
Right.
So the way that it worked, it was I didn't think about what I was doing. I didn't think about them because the tendency of leadership, if you're not there, something's not going to get done,
Right.
or it's not going to be done properly. And unfortunately, there are some leaders that's their reality. They're
Yep.
not there. The team they have, it's not going to work.
Right.
So, we were fortunate enough to have people around. There were other musicians, an amazing choir director, and they just let it. They just did their jobs,
Yeah.
and everything was fine. And honestly, I didn't really even care because I just needed to get all of that stuff out of my system.
Right.
Because what can happen as a servant, what can happen in leadership, is we can collect everybody else's stuff.
Yes.
That's what causes the
Yep.
weight gain, causes the mental stressors, it
Yeah.
causes the just all of that stuff. And so, we got to have time to get that out. So
Yeah.
while I was gone, I didn't do anything musical. I didn't think about them. I didn't do anything in ministry.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't turn my calling off. I just wasn't doing any of the administrative things that I would normally.
Right. I love.
And so, as a result, what I found out was music is still a lot of fun. What I found out was I just need to move in this space a little different. And so that's really all that happened. So when I got back, I was full of energy, full of inspiration.
Yeah.
I actually looked better. I actually, things that were really tough that we don't necessarily pay attention to. It was all good after that. So I recommend everybody just take the time to unplug for a
Yeah.
while. Everything will be fine once you get back.
Right. The world won't end.
Right, right,
As,
right.
and as you mentioned, you felt better when you came back.
Yes, yes, absolutely,
It's amazing what a little rest would do. And imagine if you did that weekly,
absolutely. Yeah.
daily.
Hmm.
You wouldn't get to the point where you literally had to and I don't think 2 weeks or 3 weeks is drastic, to be honest with you. I think, but you listen to your body
Hmm.
and you finally took that time off that you needed and came back refreshed and
Hmm.
ready to go. And I, I love that. I hope everyone would listen. Now, have you noticed any colleagues dealing with burnout or just super stressed out? What did that look like on them?
Most of the people I know who are moving forward, most of them experience that from time to time
Yeah.
because the problem with success and the problem with things working is that it requires being involved more than you might have expected. Right?
Right.
When you start something, you might get a call here or a call there. You might get an appointment here, appointment there. There may be check here, a check there. But once things start moving forward and you get called all the time, money is coming in, people are showing up, and things are working. The problem is you never expected to have to deal with this child because that's what it is. It's a greedy
Right.
child,
Right.
right? Everybody I know has had to say at one time or another, look, don't call me, don't text me, leave me alone. Everybody I know has had to do that a couple times.
Right. Right. And that's why, I work with ministry leaders and I give them um, tools to learn how to manage daily stressors so they don't get to that point. But that is so true. We don't, especially pastors, definitely pastors, they don't, a lot of them wanted to preach and they want to preach.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't prepared to be the civic leader, the community leader, the
Right,
mental health advocate, the
right.
grief counselor, the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Never saw that
financial
coming.
advisor.
Mm-hmm.
It's just all of this other stuff. And a lot of them, particularly pastors as well as ministry leaders, as you mentioned earlier, have a hard time saying no. And it's almost like being in a caregiver role where you just take on everybody's burdens.
Mhm.
And we feel bad if we tell somebody, no, I can't, sorry. We feel
Mhm.
really bad. Why is that? I mean, I have my opinions about it. Why do you think it's just so hard to say no?
That is a great question. For me personally, it's almost like if I can, then I'd like to. And
Yeah,
in my me being a servant is not something that I learned. I was born with that in my heart.
right,
And
right.
so a no, honestly, in the mind of a servant, that could mean the difference between somebody's victory or defeat, or something getting accomplished or it doesn't.
Yeah,
And so the challenge is understanding. Um, God knows what He's doing, and if I'm unable, there is somebody else,
right.
and it'll be fine.
Yep.
That's usually the hurdle that we have to do.
Yeah, that's so good. And I hope you freed somebody with that with that answer because that is so so good. I have embraced the fact that no is a complete sentence
Yeah.
and saying no to something that I really honestly cannot help with. That has helped me say yes to me
Mhm.
or yes to my family or something like that. If I really actually have the time, then yeah, I'm definitely gonna help out. But if I don't have the time, I have no business saying yes, and I just can't. So I've become someone who is, and all my friends know, I have no problem saying no
Mhm.
if I honestly cannot do something. And you're right, everything turned out okay. Those people found somebody else to help them, or they realized, you know what, I really don't need to do this. It all worked out, is the point. And so I
Mhm.
didn't have to burn myself out saying yes to every single person. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, do you feel like you've recovered? I know you mentioned earlier that you said that you had to unplug because you didn't have, you didn't take care of certain things
Mhm.
in a timely manner. So you felt like you really had to unplug. But do you feel like you've uncovered? And what are you doing to ensure that you don't deal with burnout again?
Good question. So yes, that was a great time away, and what I learned from that is just handle things properly along the way, so that I don't have to deal with that again.
Right.
Yeah, so I never had to deal with that again. That
Good,
was the first thing.
good.
But since then, the way that I operate, I have a specific way that I structure my life now.
Oh, good, good, good,
And
good.
so burnout is the possibility is less. Now there's more stuff to do.
Right.
We planted living water 2 years ago, so there's a lot to do. But the way that we function, there's a lot less than that. The one thing I haven't done that I have been threatening to do for years is to take a day off every week. Have a day off. That's what I've been threatening to do, but I haven't quite accomplished it yet. But I'm working on it.
You're the pastor, right? You're a pastor now.
Yes, I am the pastor.
Okay, we're gonna have to have our little talk that I have to have with my other pastors. You gotta take time off. You
Hmm.
gotta take a day. I advocate for 2 days during the week. I know that you just planted that church, so it's probably difficult, but definitely start. Do you have a good leadership team with you at this point? Or are you still working on finding those leaders?
We're still working on that. Now we have an amazing support system,
Okay, good.
but the team is one of the first things that we're currently dealing with, because what I know from working with bands and stuff like that, I don't mind taking the time to find the right people.
Right.
Yeah, because that
That's a
can
Yeah.
that can hinder what we want to do. So,
Right. That's a really good investment, upfront
absolutely.
investment that can really pay off later. It has great ROI later on. So yeah, I don't blame you on that one. I think that's something that a lot of churches neglect is to really take the time to pray about and find the right team. Because you can burn out really fast if you don't have the right team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll cut you some slack.
Thank you.
Once you get the right team, then you gotta promise me you're gonna start taking at least one day off during the week, like completely off during the week. Like
I'm
no.
on it.
Okay,
That's what I
perfect.
want. That's what I want to do.
Perfect. I love that. And congratulations on starting the church. So it's called Living Water.
Living Water Temple Church.
Perfect. How long have you had it? You guys just started or?
We planted in August of 2020, and right in the middle
Ooh,
of the pandemic.
wow.
Yeah, it's been great.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, are you guys fully online or are you kind of hybrid or?
It's a hybrid situation. As a matter of fact, the Nashville location is in person and online.
Okay.
We're starting. Well, I'm sorry. We have started something called our Tri-City movement. There's an area that's like Laverne, Smyrna, and Murfreesboro. It's a cluster of cities that are really close together,
Gotcha.
and so that service and that situation is fully virtual right now.
Perfect. I love that. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That is awesome. Now, do you have an assistant or is that one of the things you're working on finding?
That's what we're working on. We're figuring out the best way to do this. So right now, one day I'm the pastor, the next day I'm the administrative assistant, the day after that I'm the minister of music. So we do have great support though. We're just working on the team. What I have found with churches is great people in the wrong position can be a bad thing.
Yes, say that.
So I'm good with just taking the time and crafting a team properly. I'm good.
Right. That's awesome. I would like to throw something out there to you. So I used to do some work with I think they're called, what are they called? Virtual ministry assistants.
Okay.
So it is a company that will help you find, or they'll find virtual assistants for you to help you with some things that you can't do on your own. They can help with emailing. I don't know, whatever assistance you feel like you need, and it's a very minimal investment. So that's something that you may want to look into until you find a full-time assistant, or you might find one with the virtual assistants that help you out. So that can help you take some things off your plate.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. I used to work with them. I highly recommend them. Great couple that started that. Great God-fearing couple that started that, and so it's awesome.
Thank you.
No problem. So it sounds like usually my next question is, how do you prevent ministry burnout in the future? And it sounds like you're on the road, like you recognize what you need to do. You are in a unique place where you're trying to grow your church. So it gets kind of dicey at that point to really take the time off that you need. But it sounds like you're aware of it. And which is the most important thing, is to be aware of it, because I'm finding a lot of ministry leaders aren't aware that burnout exists, or they don't understand what it is. So you're aware of it because you've been through it before and you know what you need to do to prevent it going forward. So that is awesome.
Mm-hmm. I'm 45, and thank God that he urged us to start this at 45.
Yeah.
Because I'm young enough to still have legs to move.
Right.
But I'm old enough to understand everything does not have to get done today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, that is so true. I turned 50 this year, so I'm definitely like,
Mm-hmm.
It's a no for me. I say that quite often. It can wait.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Oh, perfect, perfect. So that's pretty much all I want to talk about. Those are some of the top issues I'm finding with ministry leaders as well as pastors, is not being aware of what ministry burnout is, not knowing what the symptoms are, which you covered, and basically preventing it going forward. So, anything else you would like to share with your colleagues and helping them prevent ministry burnout?
Absolutely. So some of the problem is we want what we want immediately,
Yeah.
or we see something that we'd like to have, or something that we've seen somewhere else. It
Yeah.
seems to be working, and so we'd like to bring that on. Um, we just got to understand that we're us and they're them.
Right.
We have to understand that if a building is available, if God Himself has said that we can have it, then it's okay if it takes a little bit of time. Some of that is about making sure that we're seen a certain way, or that we come through in a certain way, or we're
Yeah.
received a certain way. The moment that we're free of all of that, the better we feel, the better we can perform, the better we can be. Because honestly, based on scripture, pastoring is about preaching and teaching. It's about serving.
Right.
It
Right.
has nothing to do with the other stuff.
Right.
So once we understand that, a whole lot of things will get done.
Right. Absolutely. So, so true. And, you mentioned preaching and teaching, and that's one of the things I feel a lot of pastors neglect is to teach your congregation to be self-sufficient and
Yeah.
to go to God themselves in prayer. They don't have to call you for every single thing.
Yes.
I feel like there's a gap in the teaching in that, and just helping their parishioners be self-sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm so happy you mentioned that.
There's that's a tricky road,
I know.
because some are teaching it and their people are just refusing to listen, and then there are some who are not teaching it, and they're hindering everybody's growth. So
Yeah,
it's one of those things where we just have to encourage both sides.
right.
God put us together so that we can be the best that we can be, not so that we can be dependent on one another. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that because we're supposed to depend on God, not
Yes.
us. We're humans, we're flawed. We get
Absolutely.
tired.
Yes, we do. Oh, yes.
I love that so much. Well, thank you. I love this. I think, when did we meet, on LinkedIn? I think it was LinkedIn.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So thank you so much. I've enjoyed this. I really you dropped some serious wisdom bombs. You really, really did. So thank you so much. So tell everyone where they can find you.
So our website is livingwatertemplechurch.org. Our Facebook page is LWTC. There's something else out there. I can't remember what it is, but you can find. Oh yeah, our YouTube channel is Living Water Temple Church. And so we're there all the time. You can reach us there. My LinkedIn page is I think it's Riley 2802. It's been so long since I've seen the
I know,
profile, I can't
right?
remember. But I think it's Riley 2802. And my personal website is Riley Baxter III.com.
Perfect, perfect. And I will make sure I have links to all of that in the description to make it easier for people to find you and connect with you. Maybe if they're in your area, they may want to visit your church, or if they're not, they can definitely look for you guys on YouTube and check out your website. So thank you so much. I have enjoyed this. I really, really do. And I may have you back on just to kind of give you a heads up, because I really did enjoy this so much. And like I said, I may reach out to have you back on. We'll see.
I'm good with that.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you, everyone. That is all for now. And as I mentioned, I will have links to everything in the description so you can reach out to Riley and see what his church is all about later on. But that is all for now. Thank you, guys. Bye.